We're all misfits.
All right, you ragtag bunch of misfits.
You're a scrappy little misfit, just like me.
Biggest bunch of misfits I ever set eyes on.
Good morning, Misfits. You are tuning into another episode of the Misfit Podcast. Full Goon Squad back in the house.
What's up?
On today's episode, we are going to be talking about the coronary heart disease that I developed over the last 2 weeks of watching the quarterfinals leaderboard.
Congratulations.
Aged 600 years.
Too much
and
refined
however many
carbohydrate.
days. But before we do that, make sure you head to sharpentheaxeco.com, use your favorite athlete code. You save 10%. The athlete gets 10% towards their semifinals and hopefully CrossFit Games journey. Properfuel.co, use the code word misfit. And we have just gotten started on brand new programming at misfitathletics.com and teammisfit.com. Make sure you head there. And I'll throw in, because we're just getting started on a lot of stuff and we got a lot of new listeners and followers to the program, I'll throw in, make sure that you head to discord.gg/misfitathletics, get into our Discord. I would even challenge anybody who's following for a while that does the thing where there's a lot of likes on posts from people, like they'll like every post but not comment. I think there's a level of, I think the programming can really stick when you feel like you're a part of the community. So I challenge anyone who's been in that Discord for a while and not posting their scores or chatting it up with people to do so as we start a new off season. Before we complain and come up with perfect solutions to the quarterfinals judging issue, let's do a little life chat.
Ted, how was Space
What
Mountain?
you guys got?
I don't do Space Mountain, bro. Those seats are
No?
way too small.
Yeah, those seats are nice.
Didn't they get rid of it though? Were we
No.
right?
No,
Fuck.
no, they got rid of
They got rid of
Splash Mountain.
something.
They're redoing Splash Mountain with
What's
all
wrong
the
with Splash
races.
Mountain?
ride.
Yeah,
Splash Mountain they got rid of.
What's wrong with Splash
Well, I
Mountain?
remember that. There was a
Uh,
major ride though that maybe they just shut down Space Mountain and redid it or something.
I'm not sure. I'm not like a Disney guy, so I don't really keep up with that shit.
All right, where's Jen? Get
Fooled
Jen on the
us.
podcast. Get Jen on this podcast right now.
Yeah,
You know the answer.
she would definitely know the answer. But yeah, no, it was. I'm happy to be back in Maine, at my house with my dog and some like quiet space.
You need a vacation from your vacation?
Yeah. two weeks in a hotel room with like kids and a whole family is not exactly
Sounds relaxing.
But the sun was nice. It was good to see the sun for the
I
first
bet.
time in a while.
We saw it yesterday for the first time all year.
Yeah, yesterday was great.
Now it's back to Maine. Gray outside.
Yeah, fuck it.
Nice gray. That was a good time?
It was a time for sure. Yeah.
It was a time.
It was a time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like a theme park guy, so I don't really get the appeal of, going to a place to stand in line all day and eat like really terrible food.
Bro, I heard you had the exclusive pass, though. You get like a bonus hour in the park where they hide all the characters and like all the pedos leave.
Yeah, they call it magic hours. It was so magical. But it's like,
They kicked the pedos out?
I don't know if
Only
you
1 hour a
possibly
day,
could.
though. Only 1 hour
Yeah.
a day.
Two
Holy
hours.
Just 1 hour. The rest of the day, free reign.
Yeah.
Did you get to go in the tunnels? Isn't there like an underground world there?
I think you have to get arrested to go in the tunnels.
Oh, fuck.
You're gonna be a character.
Well,
You're gonna work there.
Can't be that
Yeah.
hard, Ted. You could figure that out.
I definitely could figure it out. I don't know if it'd be worth the trouble.
All right. Is there any part of Disney that you're like, yes, this is my tiny period of enjoyment while I'm here? Is there anything at Disney?
There's a bar at Hollywood Studios that has a bunch of good beers on tap. I'd say that was probably the shining highlight of the trip.
I feel like there's only 3 people
Disney,
who
known
should
for his
be at
beers.
Disney.
Yeah.
It's like it's parents, it's kids who
Did I name
have
one of them?
their parents of those kids, and then the third group that's a stretch is like, I don't know, if you go, Ted, you can be just like hammered walking around Disney and that'd be fun. But otherwise, like, there's no other people that go to Disney and have fun. I feel like
There are a lot of Disney adults that go there without kids, and it's sort of
Yeah, I didn't. I
terrifying.
said that should be.
Yeah.
To be clear,
We already,
there
we
was
already
a
addressed that crowd.
very specific nuance there. for
Sure, but
people who are
I think we'll get
adults and
demonetized if you
childless.
keep saying that word on the podcast, bro.
All right, how do you do the P asterisk deal file?
That's better.
Yeah, here we go.
Sure, where are we at with your master's video review process?
I have no fucking idea, bud.
No clue?
So, no, I have no idea. I mean, I have the one video the only video I took the entire time, and I haven't been
They
asked
only asked
for.
you for one.
Yeah, they only asked me for the first workout. They have not asked for anything else, and I haven't heard anything since I submitted said video.
Kelly-
not like
Kelly
even
got
even
her-
like good job, you got it in.
Yeah,
like I haven't
Kelly
even
got
heard that.
her workouts 1 and 2 approved, but then they asked her for 3 and 4.
Yeah, nothing on that regard. And I don't. And maybe it's coming, but is she in the individual division? They clarify whether they're talking about masters or indie.
Oh,
'Cause
that's
I know
actually
indies.
a good point. I don't know which. She did qualify for both. I don't
Yeah.
remember. She sent me a screenshot. I'll
Indy
double
had to
check
give them
it,
all
but-
4.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
I don't know where they drew the line, but
Did they
I don't either, but,
specify
like-
for masters like you have to shoot this one video?
no, they said the same rules as everybody else. Like they could call upon section 2.08
Imagine
in the
they'll-
rule book,
they'll
whatever.
ask
Like
for
we
all
can
the
ask for any of
videos
them.
from semifinals, but for quarters, probably just 1
Yeah.
or 2 for masters.
I mean,
You got-
I did the math really quickly. If you asked for all 7 age groups for men and women, you had to watch 357 hours of people exercising to be able to watch everybody's single workout without asking for 2 and 3 and 4. So I just don't see them doing that for 1,400 athletes. I don't think that's realistic. It's a lot of people.
what's your goal in semifinals?
I mean, I think it's the same as quarterfinals. Just gonna see what I have. I mean, I'm
Like you want
excited
to be
about
top 100, like, or is it really just kind of an experience thing?
He wants to be
More of a-
for the
69th.
community.
see if I can improve my 69th place. I mean, honestly, it's just to see how I do. I mean, I went into the season with no expectations because I finished like 700th in the open in the age group last year, like in the open. So like I
Were there double
went to
unders?
quarterfinals. Yeah, but
That was a
like,
joke, but it doesn't count.
but a small amount. So I don't have any expectations. I'd like to see where I'd stack up, and I mean, it was kind of unexpected to make that. That's why I really didn't take many videos. I was just gonna do the workouts over here and have some fun with it because there were like 12 people who qualified, and you know, workouts happened to be pretty good, and been training hard with the affiliate programming, so it ended up panning out much better than I thought. But I didn't have any expectations. I was like, I'm not moving up 500 places in a competition from last year, based on the amount of time I've spent dedicated towards training versus just like everything else in life. So it's a bit of a surprise, but
Not to turn life chat into a marketing campaign, but you should you did basically just Team Misfit affiliate programming this past year with very little additional work, especially compared to last year. And you were what place overall in your age division? 60.
it bounced from between 68th
69?
and 71st. Yeah, somewhere. I just sent to Ed Budway when it was 69
in
because
the
I knew you
world
appreciate it.
in your division doing affiliate
Boy.
programming, which is pretty
Yeah,
good.
outside of Saturday morning is the only day where I have more than like an hour to 90 minutes of training, and I would do like one thing before our free community class and then do community class, and that's like Saturday training every Saturday. So like Monday through Friday was Team Misfit, where, you know, I'm doing 3 to 5 workouts depending on like what the schedule looks like and how I'm feeling, and then yeah, just that. I didn't really do anything else other than just try pretty hard, and I think the workouts, like, I know we don't use the cop out of the workouts are good for me, but I liked everything in there. There's nothing that really threw me for a loop. There wasn't a shitload of like pistols or double unders or high rep muscle ups or legless rope climbs, all the things that would, you know, give me a lot of trouble. So, you know, it was a fun week, and, you know, end up going pretty well, and I hit the goals that I had, you know, arbitrarily set myself based on what I thought I could do. And then, you know, performed, I stayed relatively well. I think the stress of not, the whole procession of like videoing stuff for me ahead of time, like not thinking about like how everything is to be set up, and like only have to do it, like I only did it once, like made my life quite a bit easier. Like I didn't have to do the whole like song and dance, because like I think that stresses me out and sort of like robs a bit of the enjoyment there. And I understand why we have to do it, because everyone's just like, oh yeah, I did 1,000 reps, you did 5. Like there needs to be some level of standardization there. But I think the lower stress definitely helped with just kind of performing and doing my best. And you know, I had a good person to watch ahead of me go in basically every single workout to get a good perspective on what they're good at relative to what I'm good at, to kind of get a good game plan going in. And I feel like I executed pretty well.
I wondered if workouts 1 and 2, the environment over in Wyndham, where you didn't feel like you were competing against anyone other than yourself, potentially made a change for you. Like you could just go, like you alluded to it a little bit without, there's no video review, but you also weren't racing anybody else or doing anything like that. You got to kind of shut off and just use your work capacity in that setting.
Yeah, I mean, talking to like some of the guys over in Portland, it sounded like there's a little bit of racing going on, and like obviously, if you're the first person to go, you might not have the best strategy, and I think there's like an element of like I heard what happened over there for athletes because I could not find a way to do it on Wednesday or Thursday. Friday was the first day I was able to like have people around that like have jobs and lives, so this is the first day they had the opportunity to be here for a greater portion of the day. So I'd heard like I did this, I started with 15 snatches and I did 5 touch and go to start, and then and watching an athlete here do 180 reps and accumulate like 8 total snatches across 4 rounds. Like that's how I understood to like read the workout and this is what I need to do in this workout to do my best. And then the second one, like there's like a kid named Kyle here who like wins the 333s when we do it as an event every summer. And I know his work capacity is insane. I knew the wall ball would be a little bit easier for me. And I was like, all right, I'm going to see how he paces this and try to learn from his pacing in that workout, because I think that's ultimately what doomed too many athletes, is just being a bit too aggressive at the beginning of that workout relative to what they could do. And they basically ran themselves into a race they can't sustain and underperformed as a result of it. So I took that information away from that. The gymnastics is like, be smart. Muscle ups are gonna be really hard at the end. And then the fourth one, it's like, I did it once and I knew that I was too comfortable at the end. So like, that's why I asked you on Monday to come in and do it with me. So just, I'd have someone to hold me accountable, because when I'm doing it over here, there's no pressure because easily the strongest guy when it comes to that movement in the gym, and like, oh, good job, you crushed it. And then I'm like, I'm thinking about the workout. I'm like, I don't think I did as good as I could. So it was nice to, take a second run.
Yeah, that's where in my mind, I was like, I think 1 and 2 in that setting is really good for you. But then number 4 would kind of be the opposite, right? Because you can't, that one, there's not a ton of strategy to that. That's very like, other than, you're not going to see an athlete just continue over and over and over to pick up the bar way too soon, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a self-correcting problem in a certain thing. And I just like, I knew based on watching other people do that workout, what your score should be. And then basically, I mean, I didn't really have to push you in many instances. I just knew with the amount of time that you had left that you should get 16 reps. And at that point, it was like, okay, I'm just going to make sure that he makes it possible for himself to do that. Basically, like positive splits, like get ahead a little bit, and then like the cadence that you're doing it was going to allow you to get 15, and we always want the buzzer beater to make it 16.
Yeah, I mean, in the first go, like I, was almost a minute slower to the final barbell, and like I thought I pushed it pretty well, but got done and was like, I didn't do as well as I could have.
Yeah.
And when I got to this barbell, I was like, all right, if I push the beginning a little bit and I feel the same way, I'll just change my strategy. Cause like I power cleaned a push jerk all of them the first time, and like the push jerk was a little too taxing. I think it, ate up my battery a bit more than a split jerk would, because I can very easily split jerk that weight versus power clean to push jerk it. So there's just some strategy things there. And, I basically, you just said, I got ahead of it, and I was like, all right, based on the math and like how many seconds are left, you need to do 1 rep, X amount of seconds. I sort of thought of the workout the same way you described it when we were talking. It's like, you're on a goal you have to set. You need to know how much time you have left and then what that means for your cadence. And I think only once did you have to give me like a countdown to say like, all right, go again. And I think, I was very happy with the execution there. Like, I don't know if I could have, I think it was pretty close to my potential on that workout.
How many reps did you get in retest? Unless you don't want to.
No, it's fine. I got 12 the first time and 16 the second time.
Nice.
And the funny thing too is you had a alternate idea about what to do in the workout originally, and I knew that it was wrong, but I also wanted to let you potentially get there on your own. So you were like, I might have been too aggressive at the beginning, and I was just thinking in my head, no, I want more aggressive.
Way faster the second time. Yeah, I went way faster
like
the second time.
Way faster. Yeah. Well, I mean, the sport evolves to a place, and I actually don't even really have context for this myself. The sport is evolving, and you're evolving with it, sure, but you kind of don't always know what that is and what that feels like in a given moment. So you work out for 2 or 3 years to get yourself to a point where you can really cycle a 225 or 245 barbell in a way that you couldn't in the past, but you're not always given an opportunity to do that. So you could be bringing this level of fitness into a workout with an old set of expectations. So then you watch another athlete do it and you're like, yeah, this feels about right. But then you know, it doesn't really like pass the field test. Like you get done and you're like, like I saw the people rolling around on the ground from just lifting a barbell. Like that's not what this was for me. I probably do need to give it another go.
Yeah, no, I hit the last one and the first go with like 5 seconds left, and I went down to a knee for a second. And I was like, it's just, that's not good enough. And then like that was what's eating at me thinking about the workouts. Like I was pretty happy with the performance. Like I probably could have gone a little faster in gymnastics if I had been a little bit more risky with the front end. I think I played that one a little similar to the way I played the barbell one the first time and just played it safe so my muscle ups wouldn't blow up. And you know, it's one of the ones
reward on that one though. Like the barrier to entry is so high that if you can do pretty well in it, that's better than taking a chance in a workout like that. That's not the case for 1 and 2. If you're like, oh, I got to play it safe in 1 and 2, it's like you're going to take 600 points. You're going to be fucked. Like, it's not gonna work that way.
So I, you know, evaluating the workouts, I'm like, I probably stand to gain more in the barbell workout, and I can probably do better in the barbell workout relative to the gymnastics workout. So I'm going to do that one again. So, you know, happy with it. I basically hit every expectation I had. You know, I wanted to be around 200 reps in the first one. I wanted to finish the second one. That was really my only goal, is to be someone who finished the workout. Because like historically, that'd be one of those workouts where I'd have like 15 burpees in round 3, and like that's all I got, Captain. But like that went really well pacing wise. And then the third one was to finish, and the fourth one, my original expectation was 5 reps because I had no idea how I would feel at that barbell. I just don't do that style of workout very often. I mean, we lift a very fair amount in Team Misfit programming. But, you know, affiliate Metcons, you're pushing 185 very often. You know, it's just not going to happen because the masses, you know, do need to move a heavy barbell under fatigue. But a lot of times that happens in the form of a lift at the end of a Metcon or the occasional workout with a 205 power clean or a 225 power clean. But, I mean, it's just not something that the masses do often, is a 245 barbell at the end of a Metcon regularly enough to be like super confident there. So, you know, happy with the execution.
So we'll do a full, definitely for the Northeast, we'll do a full preview for semifinals and talk about all the athletes that qualified so we can congratulate all them and let you guys know who you should be watching. But I did want to, before we get into today's topic, just give a shout out to Brandon True for qualifying out of the Northeast region. One of the hardest regions on earth to qualify. A guy who I'm not 100% sure how long he's been following Misfit Athletics, but I know that he's followed a bunch of other programs. And he was one of the ones who came to us leading into sort of the phase 3 into quarterfinals prep and was like, should I be on MFT or Hatchet? And we told him that his best bet was to follow the full quarterfinals peaking program on Hatchet. And I think it's really hard for people to look at 2 programs. One of them is MFT is for professional CrossFitters. I think that's the easiest way to put it. If you don't consider yourself a professional CrossFitter, there's a very small chance that that program is appropriate for you. But when you're looking at 2 programs side by side, I think some athletes with that type A personality, with that competitive mindset, can be like, I'm going to do the harder thing. I want to work hard. I want to put my effort into this thing. And I can understand the pull from a psychological and ego standpoint to want to be able to do that. But for him to put his trust in us and coaches and say, hey, I am going to follow this because my Super Bowl, I can't get to I can't skip quarterfinals to get to semifinals. If this is the thing that I'm 100% locked in on, if this is the biggest hurdle that I need to get over, in my pursuit, then I do need to peak for quarterfinals. And it's just awesome to see someone buy into that, to put more effort into less volume, and qualify for his very first semifinals. Like that's the stuff that we've been doing for, like, he's an example of what we've done for 12 years, like to a T. Like, you want to go from, I can't get to quarterfinals, I can't get to semifinals, I can't get to the CrossFit Games. We take people from where they are to where they want to be. And largely because I think we try so hard to convince athletes to work very hard and very intelligently. I don't want to take any credit for what he accomplished. but I know that we have the tools to, like, the programming is great, but we also do this thing. We sit here and we pontificate on this stuff and we talk about this stuff and we talk to people in Discord. You know, I've been in touch with him basically all year about his training, just kind of checking in on him. And man, this is like, I get real giddy about this stuff. Like, I've watched athletes stand on top of the podium, or, you know, stand on the podium at the CrossFit Games. I've watched people stand on top of the podium at semifinals and regionals and all that. And like, this is what we do. That like seeing him on that leaderboard, knowing the work that he put in, just gets me fucking pumped up, motivates me to continue to just keep doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah, congratulations. That's, you know, that's a good bit of trust and a good bit of, you know, just respecting the process. I'm realizing, like, you know, the stuff that we say on this podcast is something we believe. It's not just trying to sell you on a program. We're like, you're not good enough, don't do it. But like, trust us. This is what you need to do to get where you want to go. And it's, you know, obviously cool when you have the, you know, N=1 experiment here of like someone who trusts us, does the program, gets to where they want to go, and now gets opportunity to, like, you know, reach the heights that we're going for, and then potentially set new heights for future seasons.
Kelly was in the same boat. She had, compared to the last couple of years she's been training, she had significantly less time, and she's probably about as close to the professional CrossFitter as you get without probably being classified as a professional CrossFitter, just because she does so much coaching and other CrossFit related stuff, but isn't, you know, in the gym training 4 hours a day, especially this year. And it was hatchet, and it was basically skill metcon or lift metcon skill, the occasional 2 metcons, the occasional 2 lifts, some accessory work. But it was like, this is how long I have to train. These are the days that I have to train. And it was like, she's certainly qualified to do MFT from like a placement and, you know, historical perspective.
And she can execute the workouts as well.
And she can execute the workouts at the intensity. But it was like, this is a, like, kind of just thinking about the entire year rather than like the first 3 months, where it's like, okay, MFT gets beat up, gets too beat up, gets injured. That was something that plagued her a little bit last year. And it was just like, this year it was like, nope, let's just keep it simple. And she qualified both as a age group master for semifinals and for semifinals in the North America West. Like, not accidentally, but it was like, this is where the name shook out on the leaderboard. Like, you know, doing kind of almost the bare minimum, and it worked.
Kenzie Riley and Austin Spencer both have made it to the individual CrossFit Games doing lift, metcon, and skill with their full-time jobs in the past. So how much you do versus how you do it is such an important conversation. And don't worry, we will literally never shut the fuck up about it. It's not gonna happen. So shout out to everybody who qualified. Honestly, shout out to everybody, like the people that there are very similar situations to Brandon, people who have gotten in touch with me and asked me those questions. And, you know, this year wasn't the year, but they went from 160th in the world to 90th. They went from 90th to 50th in the world. Like, everybody who, you know, dared to kind of, I think the barrier to entry on reaching out to me for a lot of people is like, I don't want to bother him. And so many of the people who, you know, kind of made that leap or got involved with remote coaching made huge changes in their placement on the quarterfinals leaderboard. And like, there's so much to what we do and why we do it, but at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to move the needle for athletes. So I have so much fun typing in all the names from Discord and checking how far they moved from, you know, in the open, worldwide rankings, quarterfinals, worldwide rankings, all that stuff. And community's definitely moving in a great direction.
I gotta also, while we're doing kind of shout outs, we had 2 masters from Misfit Gym Portland, exclusively following Team Misfit programming again, qualify for semifinals in their masters age group. Paul Stevens was 48th in his 60 to 64, and then Andy Bowden, I don't know where he shook out. I was trying to do a quick search, but also snuck in the 65 plus. And
hell yeah,
like, shout out to those 2 dudes for qualifying for online semifinals at the
amazing.
local affiliate. Yeah, it's sick.
Love that shit. Okay. This is a bit of a state of the union kind of situation. I want to start in a much more macro place before we talk about the actual judging. Does CrossFit HQ care about the sport as much as we do? And by we, I mean us and the athletes and other programming companies and the professional athletes, like the royal we. Do they care as much as we do? And I have more offshoot questions from that, but
I think there's a sect of CrossFit that probably does. I think Dave is still probably very passionate about what was created and how it's run. I just don't know if from a company perspective, it gets the same amount of tickets as like we got to create more people into affiliates. So there's more points of sale so that our business does better. So it feels like there's some old guard who really do like live and breathe and want to see it succeed. And there's just a smaller and smaller portion of who is CrossFit these days.
Yeah, it's kind of a. I definitely can't say I don't think HQ cares about the CrossFit Games. I think like
I didn't ask you if they cared. I asked you if they care as much as the participants. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. Of course they care. I would not
as the athletes.
No, as
us.
All of it. Like I can rephrase it if the question doesn't make sense, but like the royal we, all of the programming companies, all of the people that follow, people who are fans of the sport, like the other side of the fence essentially for the sport. Like, because that side cares an absurd amount. Like everyone in the fucking world's been live on YouTube 24 hours a day for the last week and a half. Reacting to all of this
I don't know
happening.
if you can. I don't know if they can care as much about the programmers and the athletes like I think they have it's more about like the obligation to running a good event that ultimately benefits CrossFit as a whole and therefore the CrossFit community. I don't know that it's like I don't know that you can. I think it's a segment of CrossFit's mission. I don't think it ever has been the primary mission of CrossFit to produce the CrossFit Games and make it a world-class sporting event. Although, I mean, I think that individual team is certainly tries to do that. But I think my answer is I don't know if they can. I don't think CrossFit HQ can care about the 45th place, quarterfinalist who just spent the entire year beating their head into the wall just to get to semifinals, or the semifinalist who is doing everything they possibly can and crying at the end of the finish line because their judge gave them a no rep and now they're not going to the CrossFit Games or something like that. I don't know that you can care as much about the people whose livelihoods and for a lot of people, goals from the last 1, 3, 5, maybe even 10 years of athletes who have been trying to get to the next level. I don't think you can care quite as much about that person as that person does.
So, offshoot of that, can the C-suite, the people running the show there, still hide behind this concept that they're, carrying on Greg's mission because they want to change the world and do all of these things? Can they still hide behind that when we know that it's a bottom line? Like, I think that's an easy path for them to go for PR, to say, like, we want the world to be a fitter place and we're going to be able to do it through affiliates. But then, like, they're just trying to increase the bottom line. And if that's the case, I'll let you guys jump in, but I definitely have opinions on that.
I mean, my opinion is no, they can't do what Greg was trying to do. And I don't know, again, Greg, I don't think ever would argue that he made decisions in the spite of, or with the goal of making the business as awesome as possible. He just tried to create what he wanted to belong to. That's, essentially what I've heard him say in the time since owning CrossFit. The things that I think are very obvious to the people who are like old school CrossFitters that does not exist any longer is like this protection of the brand and like why they would decide to settle lawsuits that they probably didn't need to settle. Like that to me is one of the biggest red flags for HQ ever. It's like your main opponent in the health and fitness space, you had them fucking dead to rights, and you just decided to settle for whatever disclosed amount of money. They haven't said exactly how much money it was. Instead of dragging them through the mud, because of the way Greg described that he would do that, he's like, I would have never settled. I would have just like lassoed their ankles and dragged them through the town square over and over and over and over again, just to humiliate them into fucking oblivion. Basically, like to show you all, like, this is what we're doing here. We're trying to get these people out of the space. So like that's one of the biggest red flags to me about that. And then second of all, if they are interested in doing, you know, things for the best interest of CrossFit and not bottom lines, there would be, you know, a consideration for, you know, raising affiliate fees and what that means to some people. People going from $500 to $4,500, you know, 9xing their affiliate fees, a huge increase. And obviously some things have to happen in time for a business to be viable. But like, it just doesn't seem like with Greg at the helm, there was a mission, and now where it was like, you know, fixing health and trying to be the, you know, the one source of quote unquote truth in the health and fitness space, to like, all right, we got to figure out how to make these fucking affiliates some money so we can keep growing our, you know, the value of our brand. So the NSCA case is, I think, one of the biggest tragedies of the whole COVID, you know, cancel Greg, you know, thing that happened in CrossFit. And I don't know if we'll ever get to that point again, because usually when the, you know, the founder sells the company to somebody else and a new group takes over, they're not going to have the same mission as the founder. And sometimes that new group of people or that new person or group of people takes the business to new heights. And you know, it's not going to be a perfectly linear path. It's going to go up and down. It's going to go all around. But it just seems like every single time we hear from HQ, it's like, we are going to do this. We hear you say this. And then like, what are you showing us? What is there? Can you show us some tangible improvements?
I don't have any beef with capitalism. I'm just saying, can they
Any
make
beef
the
with
claim?
Drew? You kinda cut
Capitalism.
out. Sorry.
Like they can make, I just don't know that they can continue to be like, we're not focusing on this because we're all in on how many affiliates can we have and how can we do this. Like, you're trying to make as much money as possible. And again, like, that's okay. That's what businesses do. Well,
the wild
I
thing
don't know if
there,
I
if
buy
you
it.
go,
And I also don't know that it's the right financial call to keep beating this sport into the fucking ground. Like, I don't believe that this couldn't be a moneymaker if the right people were doing what they should be doing. I just don't
Clean
buy
it.
that. And maybe I'm looking
Leave it on
through
camera.
the wrong, I'm looking through the wrong colored glasses, but like, man, I don't know. Part of me thinks they're trying to fucking kill it.
I mean, it's kind of a chicken or the egg thing, right? Is it like, do we need the money to fulfill the mission, or do we chase the mission and the money follows? The old Glassman, like, hey, chase the
Pursue
product,
excellence.
like make quality yields the financial result. But ultimately, like, it is interesting to me because I don't fully know, like what does HQ spend money on? Like, what if aside
C-suite
from the
executives?
aside from
Salaries.
aside from the CrossFit Games has to be like one of the largest expenses that they have, but like it's essentially online. Like I'm curious. I guess and maybe this is just a super ignorant question because I'm not a business owner, but like what does HQ spend money on?
I would not say that the games are like, you got to think about, they're sending seminar staff all over the world every single weekend. I mean, they pay.
Okay, sure. Seminar staff. Yep. Travel.
Yeah, they pay for that. I mean, I'm sure that they still have however many different physical real estate spaces. I know that that's like become less and less over the years. So they're paying for that. And then, I mean, who knows how much insurance costs for a company like that that's in the space that they're in. And then like their team's not small, like CrossFit as
it's
an
smaller than it used to
organization.
be, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's a hell of a lot smaller than it used to be.
Yeah. So they're cutting there, but they're going out and buying very high price executives. So I don't know, they might be redistributing how much they allocate to actual
I mean, you
people.
have to assume that when Glassman like left, there weren't necessarily like the I guess the ideal C-suite in place. Someone, hey, Glassman probably didn't do the budget. He wasn't doing the budgeting. He wasn't making like the 5 or 10 year plan per
50
se.
margaritas.
But he's a guy. That's mean of you, Sherb.
Margaritas
But
are great.
it's like,
I don't
but
blame
the
him.
point is like, so when it
was way more
turns
than
over
50.
from Glassman to whatever it is
50
now
million.
to the individuals that it is now, it's like we now need to support a nearly exponentially growing brand that is, with between affiliates and the CrossFit Games at the time, without any sort of foundational, business acumen like underneath it. And it's like we need to insert the right people with the right knowledge. Obviously, those people cost money, and those people are also going to probably recommend doing things that cost money. So I think it's just like I think it's way too fucking complex of a problem for us to even consider diving into any more deeply than the podcast itself allows. But
You know what's fucking weird though? Like, and again, I kind of think about this as you talk about this, Hunter. Like, they've kind of gotten these people that are, business savvy, and that's the goal is, hopefully help affiliate owners increase their business acumen so they can run a better gym. You guys, I know, typically pay attention to the kind of media CrossFit puts out. It used to be so much about here's how you train people, here's how you do a movement, here's a deadlift, here's why you cue it, here's how you coach it, here's a beautiful series of like how to make healthy low carb meals for yourself, with these like really fancy like producers making these really beautiful videos on like how to make a very delicious meal, and all these things that stemmed from like the core message of CrossFit, like avoid the refined carbohydrates, like move your body and do things that are going to help people get better inside the four walls of your gym. And they've sort of traded that for like, here's your affiliate owner's playbook, here's how you make an Instagram ad. And like I understand they're gonna be.
I wouldn't have affiliated. I wouldn't have
Exactly.
been brought into this thing with the people that are running it.
Exactly what
No
I'm getting at
fucking
right
chance.
now. So I understand there are people who need help running a business. They absolutely exist, and I think it's valuable that CrossFit provides that. But it seems that they're doing that in lieu of their original message, which is teaching people about like how to
Because
fucking
the
teach
people they're
other people.
hiring don't understand what
Yeah, I
we
know.
do or why we do it.
They don't get it, and that's the
but
problem here.
like, just to play a little devil's advocate here, like, how many affiliates out there have been screaming at the top of their lungs for help with things like marketing and like advertising? And it's
I
like,
don't disagree with
hey,
you.
we need your
He's
help
saying
getting.
both, Hunter.
Yeah, I don't
He's
disagree
saying
with
that
you.
they trade it.
Yeah.
Like they don't help. They
That's
don't
the
help
problem.
the
Yeah,
product.
Okay,
anymore.
so my second point is like, as a group of individuals who knows what it's like to try to run multiple businesses with a small team, like, okay, so if CrossFit HQ, if you've got a bunch of sherbs, like, and I mean that in the best way possible, a bunch of folks who are
An army.
a bunch of folks who are insanely passionate about CrossFit, got into coaching CrossFit, opening a CrossFit gym because they enjoyed CrossFit and the message and like what it can do to change people's lives, but not necessarily having the business acumen behind it. It's like, yeah, there has to be a give and take. Are we criticizing CrossFit for not continuing to put out the exact same material that Sherb is alluding to? And it's like, no, we need you to keep doing that, and we need you to
need
provide
some level
the
of overlap,
marketing, the
though.
business. Sure,
We
yeah,
need the
but
Venn
I'm just
diagram
saying,
has to
like,
cross at some point.
sure, fair enough. Like, my argument is like, that's pretty fucking hard, and I'm not
Sure.
going to say like CrossFit's doing the best that they can. I assume that they are, hopefully that they are, but like, it is a fucking complicated problem, and with 14,000 affiliates around the world that are trying to thrive, and how many affiliates out there are still doing, like, we had a couple drop-ins come in last week. He was a 7-year affiliate owner. Fuck. God damn it. I wish I could shout out exactly who it was.
Fuck, God damn it.
I'll remember his name at least.
His last name was Jones.
But they're a affiliate in Iowa, and we were talking about it, and he's like, yeah, man, we do the we're old school, part-time coaches trying to make it, because I was talking about like, yeah, we're fortunate enough to have a couple of full-timers here, that sort of deal. And he was like, yeah, man. And it's like, it's 2024. We still have affiliates who are doing it that way. We still have, what percentage of affiliates have full-time employees working at their gym? I'd venture to say it's got to be in the single digits, like low single digit affiliates who have that. And that's what the community has been primarily screaming about. That's what CrossFit has said that they're going to do. And like, to focus on everything is to focus on nothing. And I think we know that better than anybody.
The problem I see, though, going back to your original Glassman thing about pursuing excellence versus dollars, I think the marketing thing, going full business mode and neglecting the message of like what CrossFit's supposed to be, is fucking that left turn towards the dollar sign instead of just going straight forward to the E, which was for excellence. Like, I agree. At some point, you need to learn how to do business. But like, if you deliver a really good message and you're really effective at connecting with people and helping people, they'll do the marketing for you. Yes, there are things that you can do for yourself. You can learn how to run a business. You can learn how to make a budget. You can figure out what's wasting money and what's making you money. Those are all things that are really important. But if you can't do the X's and O's inside the gym really well, it doesn't fucking matter how good you are at affiliate playbooks or marketing. Those things do not matter. And that's the problem I think CrossFit has now is...
I'll devil's advocate that again and say like,
Right.
Well, we do have the like coaching like things that they've changed. So we released a L4 certification, which has been ramped up pretty significantly. There's now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Drew, but owners have to have an L2. Is that right? Was that part of the affiliate fee increase? So you can make your judgments on that, and like it's like, oh great, like borderline extortion of dollars for me to go get my L2. But it's like, so there now is a higher standard that they're trying to hold their coaches to. I can easily play devil's advocate on my own point and say like, well, there's no incentive from CrossFit to get those certifications because nobody on the gym fucking floor knows the difference between an L3 and an L4, an L1 and L2. They're just like, this dude's going to teach me how to air squat and hopefully deadlift safely. I'm going to get a good workout and I'll see you tomorrow. Like, so again, we can go a lot of different directions with the argument in both ways. We just kind of have to hope that the underlying intent is there.
We've seen both sides of this conversation play out for a very long time. Like, we started training camps in 2013, I believe, was our first training camp. We've walked into a lot of gyms where you could tell that they were surviving wholly on their product. Like, they understood how to deliver the information. Like, we walked into gyms that just had mats like in the middle of the gym. They would just, you'd like trip over the mats, like falling into this space, and they just had them up so that you could do certain movements near the rig. Like, we went into some weird CrossFit gyms, but you would strike up a conversation with one of their coaches, and you would, you had a fellow, junkie who was waiting for the next CrossFit Journal article to drop. We also walked into some beautiful CrossFit gyms with people that, like, they thought we were speaking Spanish the whole time. They had no fucking clue what we were talking about. And if you want long-term success in this space, those two concepts need to be married together. And a lot of times it just takes multiple people, takes a really good operator to be able to put a product on the floor and to be able to run the business. It is possible. But yeah, I mean, I think we're getting fairly down deep into the weeds right now. I do want to move on to quarterfinals 24.1, whatever we want to call it. What do you guys think about the judging? What do you guys think about the workout itself? Like, where are you guys at with this whole thing? We're, 2 or 3 days removed now from like there being some resolutions to all this, but where's your head at with this situation?
I like the workout. I think the standards could have been more specific, because I think we saw a decent amount of athletes that we know achieve what we would consider like the normal range of motion in the movement, meaning their center of mass had traveled the distance it was supposed to travel to execute a rep, but didn't maintain simultaneous knee and hip extension with their chin in a neutral position at the top. And I just don't think that was, as obvious as it could have been. Like, don't get me wrong, you have the picture of the CrossFit Games, I forget her name now. Fuck, Allison Scud. She's on the box. She's super upright. Her chin is neutral, and it's like this is the top of the rep. But like nowhere is there pointing to like chin is neutral, knees and hips extended at the exact same time. So I think there's a tiny bit of subjectiveness in the movements, and I think if you have let athletes, blur the lines without having clear, boundaries, they're gonna race and they're gonna go fast, and shit, like this is gonna happen.
I'm just glancing over the standards a second time here. I feel like it was when I saw it, I was like, okay, there's no issues here. Like what? Like how is this going to get fucked up? And sure as shit,
Hold
here
my
we are,
beer.
600 penalties later. It's like it's a 1-page movement standard that's basically stand on top of the box. And I'm as big of an advocate for like a black and white standard as possible. Like you did the rep or you didn't do the rep. But when we were hearing about the penalties coming down the pike, and Sherb, you sent a video of one of your athletes, and like I watched the video in real time and said to myself, like, if I'm judging that person, like assuming kind of this, imagine I'm there in real life and this is what I'm seeing, like I'm probably not repping. Like there's a small, like a pretty small, but still a gray area of subjectivity that the judge is going to have to do, or to have to kind of like administer when you're giving those reps. The speed at which like some of these athletes are moving makes it difficult to like make that assessment on the fly. And ultimately, again, like the judging standard is a $10 course that you can just blast your way through, that you didn't need to judge. And it's like,
I bet I'm top 10 in the world. Speed taking that. I just want to throw it out there. And like, it's just like you can't click anymore. It's not going to help you.
It's just like this is. I'm not sure what else we would expect when the standard is anybody who can judge and read these movement standards and do that and like take this like very simple course. It's like, yeah, this is like that's what's going to happen. And we even talked about the I don't know, American Judging Association of America, in Canada, North America, and judging and whatever. and those judges those athletes were getting penalized too. So it's like, nice job, third-party judging organization. Like, thought you knew what you were doing, and that didn't work either. And I like, short of just programming movements that are just so up. Some people, we had a conversation with a bunch of folks like, why didn't they just do step overs? And I put on my devil's advocate hat and said, like, I can think of like at least 3 or 4 reasons why these are different, both from a metabolic and, workout perspective and from a standardization perspective. And I have to think that those questions were asked when they were testing and retesting these open workouts. So there's a reason that we did the step up versus like a step over. And it's just like, again, I appreciate the desire to have a high standard. And because in previous years too, we've had this conversation in the opposite direction. Like, why the fuck is Brooke Wells not getting penalized for having her back broken while she does handstand push-ups, sliding her legs up and down the wall?
She showed capacity, like, bro.
Yeah, it's like, well, there it is. It's like they showed capacity, and it's like, okay, is the person who is not like flawlessly fully extended in the 9th minute of this shitty workout really not showing capacity? I don't know. It's just a consistency. It's not even as much a standardization thing as it is a consistency of, how we are penalizing, how we are evaluating the completeness of repetitions and workouts. It's just like
the solutions
that you want from athletes.
The solutions that people offered they're zoomed way too far in. They're not considering any ramifications for the rest of the sport. You know what's hard to judge? Deadlifts and squats,
air squats,
and handstand push-ups, and fucking
everything.
muscle ups. Like, so we can't do any of those movements. If we have to do step overs and not box step ups, where is the line drawn? As they go to program, like, they can't react to us. Like if they hear a good idea mixed into all of this and they want to take it into consideration, fantastic. And then the whole let them do it again. How fucking unfair would that have been to the other athletes?
So dumb. The dumbest thing ever.
Like that would be
Saying
doubling-
that was a proposed solution. Just let the
Yeah, it was
penalized
just like-
athletes redo the
because-
workout for a better
because
score.
I understood the complaint of this wasn't fair. They almost instructed athletes to like blur the lines for years because they would show media of athletes blurring the
Doing that,
lines,
yeah.
and people would be like, "What the fuck?" Like if you're trying to edge your way in and you thought I can't keep up with these people because they don't even meet the standards, and it's clear that CrossFit doesn't care. They get a minor penalty. They're, 2 minutes faster than me. It puts a couple of seconds on their time. I can't keep up with that. So I'm going to go as fast as possible too. And there's going to be a rep or two that's wrong. And I feel like I've been instructed almost that if I want to qualify, that I got to blur the lines. Just kind of is what it is. But like that is saying in the past, it was always they care more about the high level athletes. So then they could basically double and triple down on that and really make people feel that way. If it's, well, Paige Powers moves really well, super fit, top 10 athlete in the entire world, let's give her another chance. Like, if we don't want preferential treatment for certain athletes, and then it's like, well, this wasn't fair. I don't think it's been fair before. So like, I don't know. People zoom so far in on just make it step overs. No.
Anytime they're gonna be even though there are it's like, is the hip crease below the top of the knee? Yes or no? It's like, that's a very black and white standard. What's not black and white is in real time when it's happening, a judge who took the judge's course and has been an affiliate member for 365 days and has no idea what they're actually looking at. And it's like, what do you expect? How many has to be
have been open and heavy front squats in online competition?
I mean, how many people are being judged by their best friend or spouse or something that's is desperately wanting this person to succeed and just is not comfortable saying no rep?
How many athletes are like, I'm sorry, like my body proportions don't allow my hip crease to go like any lower. Like, I mean, even Austin, like we talk about that, like the dude's got to sit so far back in his heels just to make sure that his hip crease goes below the top of his knee because of his body proportions and the fact that his legs are goddamn
his femur's 2 inches long and 800 inches around.
Yeah, it's like, and the problem is like we're presenting all of these like weird scenarios and there just isn't a good solution for it. It's like one of the biggest things that I really like that really drew me to CrossFit is kind of that black and white standardization of like the workout. It's like when you go into a CrossFit gym and say, yeah, my back squat is 300 pounds. It's like, I know that that's almost certainly legitimate. Someone comes in from Fitness Factory down the road in Portland, Maine, and the dude says I squat 405. I'm like,
prove it.
I bet you do. Like, I bet you unrack 405 like a boss, and then re-rack it, after the shittiest range of motion possible. Like, I genuinely think that like the standard that's also what makes the sport, right? It's like more work in less time. There has to be a standard for these movements, but ultimately, like as the sport gets bigger, as the competition gets fiercer, like it's the same thing with any professional sport. Athletes are going to do whatever they need or can do and can get away with. Brad Marchand, will do whatever they can get away with to help their team win, to help them move on, especially if they're like they've been fighting for, a spot for years. And I don't know what the solution is.
Did CrossFit HQ, the CrossFit Games team, decide preemptively to make a statement with this workout?
Probably.
Did this happen organically? You think they handed out 170 major penalties on a workout and then almost none in 2, 3, or 4?
Yeah, this
suspect.
What happened?
I got tired of watching videos.
24.3 is handstand push-ups and muscle-ups. I mean, those are two of the movements where it gets as bad as it gets. Go look at the penalties on that. They don't fucking exist.
Brand new movement versus movements that have been around for you know, what is that? That's the only new movement that happened in quarterfinals, right? Step up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know if they decided unanimously to zero in on that workout and that movement. I do suspect there was like, again, this goes back to like the community. Every year, the community is going to bitch about something, like no matter what. Previously, it was like HQ is not holding athletes to a standard, especially high level athletes. And this year, it's like CrossFit's being mean. Like that's too tough. Like let the boys play. It's like
Shut the fuck up.
CrossFit's probably like I don't give a fuck. Like we're already on to the next. Like here's how it was. If your video got reviewed and you were on the line anyway, you weren't going to win the CrossFit Games, and we'll see you next year. Like that's how you have to go through it. That's how you have to deal with it.
Sure. What do you think? Do you think that they decided to like do something with this? It's so glaringly different than the way they've done it across the board.
I mean,
it
appears that way.
I don't believe in fucking coincidence.
There are no coincidences. You look at this as like, how is it possible that, you know, there wasn't one clean and jerk that the rep was kind of sketchy on and someone dropped early, or the pushback from the rings, or, you know, someone's wall balls were perfectly below parallel. Because every year that's a fucking problem. People's wall balls aren't below parallel, or they don't hit the target, or fucking both feet don't hit the box. You jump off the box unintentionally. Like, it just seems very strange that was the case. And like, you know, I go back to what Hunter was saying about one of my athletes' range of motion, their step up. It's like, we watched it and it's like, yeah, it looks like they're racing fitness. That's exactly what racing fitness would look like. Nothing's egregious. There's no intentional aim to deceit with, you know, not standing all the way up and like trying to go fast, and like the person who like does like the slinky lunge across the floor without standing all the way up or shuffles their feet. There is none of that occurred. It was simply that like
also not a whole lot to be gained there. It's
yeah,
like,
I mean,
and even in the step up, like you said, Sherb, it's like there's not obvious intent, and it's also not like the scores of the penalized athletes were so like, it's like, how did this guy get 34 step ups and everybody else is getting like 18 to 20? It's like, you know, again, I think there is an intent element there, but again, it's like, are you going to be on the side of, yeah, like he or she demonstrated capacity, or no, he or she did not meet the standard and therefore is penalized, black and white. No questions asked.
It just
What
feels
do
like
you
an
think,
example
Drew?
was set.
Well, I mean, I feel like I probably insinuated how I felt about the situation with the way that I worded the
You
question.
think they very specifically zeroed in on that workout, that movement, and said penalize athletes?
I don't understand. So the like how they would have had that conversation and what it would have meant, like, hey, this is a new movement and a lot of people are going to be blurring the lines here. It could be something as subtle as that. So like you're talking to the people who are doing video review, and it's like, keep an eye on these because you could go significantly faster. You could add whatever 8 to 10 reps over the course of the workout if you're just going boom, 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 up and down on the box. That could be. So I'm not saying like, I think people get way too down the rabbit hole on conspiracy theories and like there's some cabal like in the back, like, okay, fuck everyone over on this. I don't mean it like that, but I think something subtle could have people be like, okay, we're going to do this. Maybe we're even going to slow down the videos and go to 0.25 speed so that we
you
can
and I
see
talked
whether
about
they're standing up.
That's ridiculous to me. That if you're like, I think what you said at first is perfectly reasonable. It's like, this is a new movement. This
Right.
is what we've seen in testing because we've seen it happen. Like,
Yeah.
this is what we want to pay attention to. And we do that. We do that at competitions that we host. Like, we see it happen in judges' briefings where they're like, hey, athletes, like, make sure you do this. Make sure you lock out your muscle up or whatever. Like, if it's not clear that you touch the beam, the judge is going to no rep you. Like, that happens at every level of the sport. I think that I lost my train of thought.
Well, so I told Hunter the second this workout.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Fuck.
No, you're good.
No, the quarter speed. I think that's bullshit. If you have if at any point a judge or a CrossFit HQ person is pausing, scrubbing backwards, or slowing down a video to determine whether it's a rep or a no rep, that's fucking bullshit. You can't
Yeah,
do that
it's
live. You can't do that in
It's like
person.
baseball with the
and if you
AI
can't,
umpire.
if you can't tell in the moment, how the fuck do you expect the judge on the floor, who's almost certainly nowhere near as qualified as you are, to do that? So
It's the Patriots
hypothetically
fan
angry.
that's 19 Bud Lights deep and isn't watching an NFL receiver run 23 miles an hour and there's a fucking blade of grass between his toe and the sideline and the ref doesn't get it right and he's fucking got the Cheeto dust all over himself and he's like, fucking refs trying to screw us over. Like, you can't ask judges to fucking slow down to 0.25 speed in their brain. You cannot do that. The first thing that I said to Hunter when this workout was announced is these step ups are going to be a bloodbath. People are going to try to go too fast and they will get no rep for it. So one of the things that makes me feel a little bit better about all of this is I FaceTimed with an athlete right when it got announced and said, I need you to take your time on the step ups because I think they're going to no rep a bunch of people. And she started out in a not qualifying spot and moved up into a qualifying spot because of that workout, specifically because of that workout. And again, I wasn't like trying to fucking predict the future. I know CrossFitters and I know that movement with the footwork that makes it efficient, that you're going to switch. I think of it as the toe to bar where like you could kick the bar with your feet at different times. So you get the like, you kick with your right and then you kick with your left sort of a thing. That's how I thought in my brain about the step up. And then, I mean, the fact that 24.3 exists and didn't have that level of scrutiny, I can't believe that was the case. So if there was a warning shot sent out to the video reviewers, this is the take that I've heard a lot that I agree with. They should have really been like, because they've backed off of the movement standard thing. They don't do the videos in the same way that they used to. They don't have the commentary over them. Like the workouts are announced. They're out. They're, go do the workout. Film it from whatever fucking angle you want. I've seen videos of people from the front/side of step ups and they all look perfect. Everyone's video pointing at the back of their knee looks like dog shit. Yeah. So like things like that, like there's the part of it, like, I don't think it's a problem that can truly be solved, but you just know those world-class athletes that don't get to go to semifinals this year, like, that shit hurts. Like, they're from other camps, they're, whatever, like, God, that hurts. And I know that they should have moved better because the videos that I've seen, honestly, the step-ups aren't good. Like, I'm totally fine with the fact that they got penalized, but man, what you put out as the narrative for what you expect for movement, and then for it to just be like, bam, it's changed. You guys asked for it, here it is. Like, fuck, man. Like, and I don't even know what I would do different. I just know that a lot of people who could have just slowed a little bit down on their step ups had a chance at being on the podium at the CrossFit Games. That's kind of crazy to say.
It's wild.
All right, moving on. What now? Like, what should they do to not have, if people are using the hashtag RepGate on Instagram, like, how do we not have RepGate in 2025? What could they do differently? Both, obviously, the athletes should move better, but
I have a solution for the judging. I think so. Ultimately, what CrossFit has to contend with is uphold the standards, but we can't watch 7,000 hours of video like reasonably and like get these things accurate. I think there's a manpower issue. I think something that I'm really surprised that they've never done and could potentially help is give L3 and L4 coaches CEU credit for validating or invalidating athletes' online videos from regions that they do not belong to. So I cannot validate, as an L3, I cannot validate a North America East athlete, but I can validate or invalidate or major minor penalty a North America West athlete. And I can put notes in for why. And if if it is a major or a minor penalty, then that gets shuffled up to HQ and somebody else validates it. But I think a potentially more of an open source style of judging where multiple maybe like 3 L3 or L4s have to validate an individual's video or something like that. I don't know what the math on that looks like. But bottom line is, in order to prevent the massive ass pain that HQ has to go through of just in a silo evaluating thousands of hours of video review, like, use the fact that you're pumping up, you're trying to get your coaching, the quality of coaches up, and give some incentive to individuals, L3 and L4s, to maintain their coaching credential, benefit the sport, benefit the community, and solve a potential, problem that is centralized to CrossFit HQ.
So they did one thing to give them credit, Hunter, that you had in the middle there, is they reviewed appeals as a team. So if someone appealed, it wasn't just Joe Schmo. It's honestly sounded
and like major
like
stuff
Castro
like
was
that,
involved. To me, that gives them a bit of a pat on the back to say, like, we had a standard, we wanted people to meet the standard, and there wasn't some rogue judge like there is in person all the fucking time, laying down on the ground with their, they got 4 pairs of nobles and 8 headbands on. Yeah, exactly. Doing the fucking Kevy Sager side by, up and down situation like that. It sounds like that didn't take place. And it's nice to hear that, like, that they really did take it seriously to go back in as a team and be like, should these count or not?
I like that idea a lot. I also don't know if, like, again, this is probably not realistic, but just, if you're going to be in contention, you film your video, you submit your video, everyone can see your video. It's live on the leaderboard. Every video for every athlete is live and obvious for everyone to watch, and let the community fucking say who's good and who's not. Like, let them do it, as opposed to just the level 3s and level 4s. Like, obviously that's the quality of the eye watching will not be as high, but it gives more people the opportunity to participate in that. Just, everybody who wants to compete at a higher level, video, it's got to be public for everyone to watch and let things shake out, because I strongly believe that, that would be the easiest way to get the manpower you need to do said project, and, it wouldn't take very long for some of the suspect people in the past who sometimes skirted by and you're like wondering about their video. How come I didn't see their handstand push-ups or whatever? I think they'd be quickly discovered, and, it would take care of itself. Yeah,
the blue sky meeting that you hear happening where everyone's like, you can't do this to the athletes. The way that they qualify has to be in person. Well, then you have this massive filtering issue of, like, how do you get this many people to participate? And that goes back to the, like, NASCAR scoring that they talked about however long ago. Like, the CrossFit Games season ends here, and there's however many opportunities to gain points over the course of the season to qualify for the CrossFit Games. It's just like a crapshoot because they don't decide what the programming is. We've been to competitions with really great programming. We've been to competitions with piss poor programming. Like, so how would you, I do agree that the legitimacy of the sport would go way up if you didn't qualify online, but how do you filter that many people?
Yeah.
Or are they just not, or are they just not participating?
That's a fucking logistical nightmare for everybody involved. CrossFit, the individual athlete, you can ask the athletes to fly themselves somewhere, drive themselves somewhere to qualify in person. Like,
we just need a Larry to win Powerball and buy the CrossFit Games so that it gets the money. Because it's like you said, Hunter, chicken or the egg. Like, do you make the sport as amazing as possible and hope it attracts the right, people to help run it, the right sponsors, the right coaches, the right athletes, all that? Or is it the kind of thing where if you pumped in enough money and had production value and had more media surrounding it, that people would get excited about it? Like, if any of us say that we know the answer to that question, we obviously just fucking
got to get Panda Express back. Fuck, gotta get Panda Express back.
Greg.
That's the secret.
I'll fucking get my 40-30-30 and orange chicken and lo mein. Don't you worry about that.
Fuck. How much can you have?
That would be so amazing.
100 to 100,
if,
100.
if it was just, I mean, honestly, just the chicken. You probably couldn't have the rice, but you might be 40, 30, 30 with just the chicken.
With 4 pieces of orange chicken, like done. Health.
It's so good. It's so good. I only eat
Listen,
orange
protein,
chicken.
carbs, and fat in one bite.
I
done.
only eat orange
Don't
chicken.
tell me it's not the most economical thing you've ever fucking heard of.
Wow. I'm definitely going to check the stats now.
I feel like
Alright,
there's
what we
so much
got?
sugar in orange chicken.
It's so fucking good.
Yeah,
There's
there's
so
a
much
lot of
everything.
sugar.
There's
Yeah, but there's a lot of fat and a lot of protein.
yeah.
Now I'm curious.
I don't know how much protein there is.
You know how much
I feel
chicken's
like-
in there? I've
Yeah,
had
that
well,
too.
extra
was,
crispy
was
bites.
The, that
Yeah.
was the second. That was the.
How dare you?
Squirrel meat. All right.
Man,
No.
Chapmas,
One
Chapmas
serving
made some dope
is-
orange chicken, homemade orange chicken.
51
day
grams of carbs.
with real
49
chicken.
51 grams of carbs, 23 grams of fat, 25 grams of protein, and 500 calories in one serving.
In how many ounces? Would you
How
say?
much fat did you say?
23
Or what
grams.
Same
serving?
as
What's the
protein.
serving
Oh.
size?
I'm trying to get 162 grams. I imagine that's probably like a scoop.
That is not much because 162 grams of chicken is, like a handful.
Couple nugs.
That's like 2/10 of a pound.
Need at least
Quarter
5
pound?
servings.
Quarter pound of chicken.
I always get
Of
3.
chicken.
That's
Yeah.
not that bad. That's not that bad.
Could be worse.
That
take
counts
12.
the breading and the oil that it was fucking swimming
Uh,
around in.
Yeah.
Guy, guess what? It's got only 49 net carbs, though, out of 51. There's 2 grams of fiber.
Oh, hell.
Okay, Sherb, you're up. How do we fix the judging online competition situation?
I mean, I think I just said it a moment ago. Like, everyone submits a video, and the people that are in person are simply there just to count, and then someone else is in charge of determining what is and is not a rep. I also think
What about
there's-
CrossFit? Like what they ask for, how they instruct athletes. Do they need to get better at that?
Yeah, I think they could do a better job. I mean, look at the execution of said workout and the booklet you get, the couple of pages you get with each workout. When you look at that packet, there's a fucking line in the bottom of underneath the movements like, this is not an exhaustive list. You can't fucking
I was just
click
gonna
on-
look at that. I was just saying, like,
you
here
can't
are
click on
3
that.
things you can't do, but also there's a lot
There are
of
like
other things
87
that aren't
other.
specific. Yeah.
Well, there's
it's
the
like-
corner of the box thing. Everyone was freaking out. They're like, there's a rumor going around that judges course that everyone definitely watches the videos on said that the corner of a box was in the uncommon
Yeah.
movement clause.
then
Also,
everybody
if
did it.
that's not true, what an amazing troll. That person who started that is awesome.
So like
Fucking-
there's that, and then just like let's try to avoid some movements that might have that gray area. The same reason you don't see air squats or push-ups or kettlebell swings. I just think there's just like certain movements that don't lend themselves awesome to online competition and are better served in person. Like I think that there exists a category of movements that are better for online competition than are in person. So, I think there's one element there. So between those two things, I think you can get rid of a lot of problems, but there'll always be something else. There's always going to be another problem.
I like
if there can be a problem.
I like
there will be.
I like that everybody uploads. Like if you want to have a chance to go to semifinals, like you have to have videos, period. Quarterfinals, less concerned about it, number of people, but like for semifinals and beyond, it's like I agree. I think that's valuable. I think it's like you need to film your videos, how we go about analyzing those. Again, I think what I said has the potential to be beneficial. It doesn't obviously need to be everybody's videos, but the point in requiring all the athletes to submit every video is like, hey, the reason for this is to make sure that you're upholding the standards. I don't know which video we're going to actually have people watch, or again, if it's open source where anybody can judge. I do think there has to be like a standard, Sherb. I know you kind of alluded to like anybody can watch the videos because they did that for the Open for a while, right? It was like if you didn't
Yeah,
do the
it didn't
workout
matter
in
that
an
a video had
affiliate-
6,000 thumbs down. It didn't change anything.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, again, and it was probably like, hey, it's the Open. Like, we're not too worried about this. But yeah.
Yeah, my mind goes to is CrossFit too big of a machine now where like they have to mobilize for 12 months and have scripts and 12 people on the lighting team and whatever just to have Boz walk us through the workout in a video. Like,
I mean,
like
how
if they had a
easy-
video, it's like, here's the announcement. I want I want the thing set up in this way. Make sure that you are not on the corner of the box. You're standing here. You're standing all the way up. Like, I don't know. Like, is it? I feel like that wouldn't be that hard to do.
Yeah,
They do that
I
already,
feel
just very briefer. That's what they do right now. It's just not. That's what they after they announce the workout, they go through that whole little like a minute and a half, 2 minute video of them doing the workout. But again, they don't point to the standardization. They just go, your back is to the barbell, and you snatches with the barbell over your head, and don't don't grab the rower handle.
They didn't want us to pay attention to that shit in the past. Is what I'm saying.
Fair. Yeah.
I
disagree.
think what you said, I don't remember who mentioned it to me, but it was like, I feel like a lot of, it might have been you, Drew. Like, I feel like a lot of these issues could have been resolved by, I think Boz did this one year where he like just got on Instagram or whatever. And it's like iPhone video that's like, hey guys, we're seeing a lot of athletes do this. Stop that. This is what we're looking for. All right. See you Monday. Let's like, it doesn't need to be this massive production thing. And I think that, yeah, maybe during the open announcement, there's actually like a briefing and it's like, hey, you heard it from the horse's mouth right here. This is what he's looking for. This is not what they're looking for. Even like, I don't know, maybe even being open about it in testing. It's like, hey guys, we had some athletes test this. The most common thing we saw was athletes not standing all the way up. This is what we're looking for. This is what the games team is going to be issuing penalties for if we have an issue. Like, it's a transparency thing. There's obviously potential issues that go along with that too, but it doesn't need to be a fucking MGM production. Just get in front of a phone and say, hey, I saw you doing this. Stop doing that. Just do the fucking workout. Cut the shit.
Or status quo. They've been doing it
yeah.
a certain way and allowing a little bit of this and a little bit of that for a very long time.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, this is the workout. This is the one. It's not even a workout. It's a movement. This is the one.
This is the hammer. Here's
Yeah.
the hammer. You are the nail.
Someone said something. That's all I'm saying. I don't know at what level it was said, how it was communicated to the judges, but there's just the math is just off on, like, there's a bunch of different,
I don't
CrossFit
think it
media
was-
organizations that did the grid of like the penalties across the board, and it's like 163. Like, what the fuck is this? Was it just like they decided that it was going to be
that pernicious? But I think it was probably exactly what you said, Drew. It was like, here's a new movement. Like, we have to allocate resources appropriately to make sure that our these videos are getting validated and we can assume the rest. We've seen years of muscle ups and handstand push-ups and rope climbs. Like, new movement, potential issue. Let's kind of allocate our time and resources to this. It wasn't necessarily like, fucking send the hounds in. Like,
No. I don't believe any of that shit. Because a lot of people right now are saying, like, we've been asking for it for a while, and they're like, well, fuck you. You want to see what happens when, like, I don't really buy that. But I don't know. There's the major sports correlation that I can draw is like hockey refs in the playoffs. There is
let the boys play, ref.
Yeah, there's a direct line of communication though, and I guarantee it comes from the commissioner of like, X, Y, and Z is getting out of hand. Because again, the fan is going to be like, they're changing the way that they're doing things. They're trying to manipulate who makes it to the next round or whatever. And it's more just these subtle comments from someone in a leadership position saying, like, no one wants to watch hockey where you guys are blowing the fucking whistle every 2 seconds. Like, we're not going to have good ratings. And then you can tell that the refs will go to the coaches and be like, we're going to let the boys play, but if these two keep cross-checking each other in the throat, like, we're going to have to make a statement, that sort of thing. So
I
for
think
this to happen,
that's the difference.
Exactly. That's the one thing that I think was potentially missing here. But a small comment can obviously make a big fucking difference in the way everything shakes out.
Yeah, and I mean, those, like, in professional sports, like, I know with hockey that's how they do it, but I'm sure with other sports it's like refs will meet with either captains or coaches ahead of the game and be like, hey, like, this is what I'm looking for. This is what we're going to call. This is what we're going to let. We're going to toe the line here. And especially for playoff series, when teams are meeting at least 4 consecutive times, it's like, hey, what happened last game? not gonna let that fly again. Like I'm like first time this happens, they're both going. Second time it happens, it's gonna be a misconduct or something like that.
Yeah.
If there was a version of that could somehow be communicated to fucking 300,000 athletes competing in the open, that would be the thing. But I think it's the boss like, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is what we are expecting to see issues on. So don't be an issue. And that might be that might be the best of the worst options.
Feels like a good thing for the PFAA and CrossFit to do together potentially. That organization seems like it doesn't do all that fucking much. Like that might be a good use of their time.
I've always thought I've always
They
been
try
a little
very
bit,
hard. I don't know how far they get. It seems
Yeah.
like they do really put the effort in, and HQ is just like, yeah, I mean, we're not doing this, but we'll try.
Put it in the
to
suggestion
do that.
box.
Yeah.
Try the suggestion box.
They placate that situation for sure by like showing up at the conferences and stuff. It's like, wow, I got to meet Fondal. I shook his hand.
Fondal!
Sick. Well,
Fondal, not to be confused with Fondle.
I don't want to talk about this ever again. We got it all out.
Yeah,
I
we'll see
talked
you
about
next
it
year.
every day for the last fucking week and a half. It's been a hoot. It's been real nice. The only other thing that I wrote in my notes for this was A-Rod, LOL, question mark, exclamation point. Dave
Orange
Castro
man.
casually dropped that he's friends with Alex Rodriguez.
Hitting,
And
he's
he,
having a,
he
having
gave
a
him
catch.
advice on how the sport is still evolving and everything's going to be fine. And it's just like so out of left field.
A-Rod
Like, yeah, I
gave
was-
Castro advice on it.
I guess it's like I was having dinner with Obama last night and whatever, this came up and just casually move on. You're like, what the fuck are you? What? Why is A-Rod talking to Dave
Even
Castro?
business advice.
He looks like orange chicken.
Fuck.
A little self tanner. Are you saying that he's using tanning PEDs?
Yeah. He's using the stuff they put on the orange chicken to tan.
What do you think his macro breakdown is?
100%
D-ball.
orange chicken.
I think you can eat a lot of
100%
orange
orange
chicken with the
chicken and D-ball.
supplements. Yeah, that
Chicken
man takes.
steroids.
Oh fuck. Good stuff.
Where
All
do
right,
you
you
get
guys have
chicken
anything
steroids?
more lighthearted to close this out?
I thought I just did it.
You just did it? All right. Fuck.
I shot 86, boys.
86?
Yeah, 86. One
Front
I
nine or
got
back
one-
nine? Oh, fuck.
Suck me, buddy.
There we go.
Yeah, coming up on 1 year. See if I can get 85 under 85 year one.
I was going to
Almost-
ask you,
almost at
when is 79
When are you
in
good?
the
Yeah, when are you-
cards? Is
when
that
are you
like
good?
5 years?
Low set or but
High
under 80.
70s.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Fuck.
Is
That-
under 80 good?
That's like the round of your life, right?
Under
That's the
80
kinda-
under 80 is pretty good. Like I think golfers strive for a long time to break 80, be in the
Yeah.
shooting the 70s. So yeah, it's just exponential difficulty curve for
Like
sure.
strokes per
It's
hole,
like
80.
100 to 95, like fairly quick jump, even to 90 quick jump, and then it just fucking difficulty goes way up from there.
My PR was 47 on 9. That's the best I ever shot.
Nice.
And it was probably at the easiest golf course in, like, if they ranked them, it would be last place.
Yeah.
Putt.
No, bro. South Portland Municipal.
Ooh, so Muni, you're teeing off next to somebody in flip flops and a wife beater.
Oh, yeah.
That
Smell like
was
seven
in
hot
flip
dogs.
flops and a wife beater. That was him.
What'd you say? What's that, Ted? Is
That was
you?
him teeing off in flip flops
was
and a
you.
wife beater.
Oh,
No, come on. No, I was the guy who had the, like, golf shoes that would make you think I could shoot a 37, and then I'd shoot an 87 on the front nine.
I don't see a
that
problem with
bullshit.
that.
Backwards. Went backwards. You now have a longer distance into the green.
I did hit those houses on whatever that par 5 that goes up the hill.
You're
You're driving basically.
I've never actually
yeah.
played there. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't? When you're
It's
at
a
that
hoot.
intersection over by 295, like by the mall, there's a par 5 that literally runs alongside the road. And if you slice as a righty, you just send it into the trees. If you slice as a lefty, you send it into a neighborhood. And
Nice.
lost a few balls.
Someone
into
actually
that
asked me the
neighborhood.
other day what happens if you put a ball through like a windshield or like a home.
You
I
win.
was like, I don't.
You move on to
actually
the next
know
hole and you pretend
Yeah,
it didn't
yeah.
happen.
I was gonna say, like, what do you like?
If you buy a
As
house on a golf
teenager,
course, you deserve to
flip
get your
them
windows
off and
broke.
say "kiss my ass" and then run away. I don't know
Right,
what you do
yeah.
as an adult. I have to check back in on that situation.
No difference.
That's it.
No difference.
I was gonna say you can just run faster and talk yourself out of it more effectively.
All right. Well, a lot of people getting started on summer phase 1, Team Misfit gyms. Hatchet off season 1 on that strength or conditioning bias track at misfitathletics.com. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, discord.gg forward
Fire up
slash-
that vacuum.
Get it / Misfit Athletics. Get into the community. Talk scores with people, strategies, reach out and be like, what is this warm-up protocol? How do I find out how to do that? X, Y, and Z. That is the place that you want to go to be able to talk about the programming, to be able to share scores, all that good stuff. If you want to get started, now is the perfect time. MisfitAthletics.com for your individual programming needs. TeamMisfit.com for your affiliate programming needs. Anything else, gentlemen?
Don't think so.
All right.
Can't wait to
We
bitch
did
about
it.
the judging next year.
Yeah. See you next week, and then see you next year for the Judges Bitching episode 2.